How you doing, Internet? I'm B-Nuts, and today I would like to honor mothers by shining a spotlight on some of my favorite fictional mothers. Let's start things off strong with Leia Organa Solo. Now, we don't get to see much of Mama Leia in the new canon. However, in Legends, there was a lot that we got to see about her as she was taking care of the twins, Jacen and Jaina, and Anakin. Leia herself is no stranger to being in danger. Not only had she been a part of the Imperial Senate since the age of 14, but she had been involved in the Alliance to Restore the Republic, the Rebel Alliance, or Rebellion, since the age of 16 or so. Her adoptive parents had also raised her to be a responsible member of society, as she was also raised as Alderaanian royalty, and she passed that along to her sons and daughters, as well as trying to prepare them for the life that would be ahead of them. But even before that, as she was pregnant, she had to try to evade the assassination squads which Grand Admiral Thrawn sent after her to try to stop her. Willing to do anything to protect her unborn twins, she allowed Chewbacca to take her to Kashyyyk to protect her, or try to, and then she followed the assassins themselves to their homeworld. Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader had been using the Nogri as assassins and shock troops because they were extremely effective in stealth and hand-to-hand combat. They were even able to sneak up on the Wookiees, and it was only through Leia's connection with the Force that they were able to repel them. But then, the Nogri sensed, they got a scent of Leia, that she was connected to Darth Vader, and she was able to use that connection to find the truth of what was going on their planet of Hanover. Leia's strong sense of justice sometimes trumped her own sense of self-preservation. However, with the twins still inside her, she acted as was best in order to try to preserve their lives as well. All the same, she led the Nogri in revolting against the Imperials and setting them free from the servitude that Palpatine and Darth Vader had tricked them into by poisoning their crops. And then afterwards, once the twins were born, she started to raise them as productive and compassionate citizens of the galaxy. To Leia, being compassionate was more important than even their being Jedi or learning how to be Jedi. Even though she would also receive training within the Force, that still wasn't as important as just being kind to others and helping them along. That was why she left the Imperial Senate and why she joined the rebellion in the first place. She understood and recognized when injustices were being done and tried to help fix them. And she raised Jacen, Jaina, and Anakin to recognize the same. It worked so much so that Anakin sacrificed himself at Centerpoint and went out as a hero. And Jacen, while he did fall to the dark side, he did so for reasons of his own sense of justice as well. And Jaina became the Sword of the Jedi, representing them also as a guardian. And when that part of the series ended, she and Ben Skywalker were prepared to inherit their parents' will in helping and continuing to help to defend the galaxy from whatever threats may come. And that was because their parents, including Leia, had prepared them for that kind of thing and taught them how to be compassionate citizens. So saying I should also talk about Mara Jade Skywalker. Yes, I've already spoken to her as my favorite Star Wars character of all time, but I haven't really highlighted her traits as a mother. And she's different from Leia, not in that she was compassionate. She also had that strong sense of justice and what was right, even as the Emperor's hand. But as Ben Skywalker's mother, she tried to prepare him for what was out in the galaxy by training him to become an excellent field operative as well as a Jedi Knight. The Jedi Knight stuff he could get from his father and Jason Solo. But it was the skills, his fieldcraft and spycraft, that would put him ahead of even Jason. And so Mara prepared Ben by giving him those very important skills. And then, rather than protecting him herself, she let him do most of that on his own, learning that as someone who lived out in the galaxy. Now, that's not to say that Mara wasn't a bit of a mama bear herself, because when she sensed that Jason had become a threat to those whom she loved, she went right after him, and she went out for blood because she sensed that threat. And those things also made her a great mother. Next up, Marge Simpson, representing every cartoon mother who's had to deal not only with the antics of her children, but also those of her husband. Those unending, stupid ideas that they often have, as well as those character quirks which we find amusing, but which she might have found annoying to large measure, and unendingly, because the Simpsons don't seem to age past a certain level. So, Maggie, Bart, Lisa, they've been pretty much the same, at least age-wise, so their antics have been in the areas that their characters may change. It's been very small, but it's always been a very similar sort of thing. And Marge has had to bring the family back from the brink numerous times. And she's had to be the center of that family. And when she goes off the rails, you know something's wrong. And that forces the others to work together to bring her back. And that's how you know that she's the heart of the family. And the fact that she has put up with the family's shenanigans for so long is absolutely incredible. I mean, yes, they've had their fights, and they've been at the edge of breaking up numerous times. But Marge, she's been the heart and soul of that family, and brought them back together every single time. Good on you, Marge. So I have to give it up to Fumio Usui and Yasuko Tasuku. Jointly, though, because they're pretty similar characters in that within their anime series, they are both single mothers and they're both young and beautiful. But they're different in that they address issues in a different way, and also because their characters are different. Fumio has had to deal with a very harsh reality that she and Kenta have been accepted within their family. And that has led to her being depressed, as well as going and moving away to another city in order to try to raise Kenta and try to provide him with the safety and security that he needs, even to the extent that she will search for a job wherever and whenever she can, despite not having very many skills or much knowledge at all. Though she does say she is confident in her physical ability. Fumio's issue is that she's something of an enchantress. After a while, her male bosses always go after her, and that always leads to her being fired from that job, which also ends up putting pressure on Kenta, because he knows that this sort of thing is going to happen, and yet he can't do anything else for his mother. And it's somewhat to his relief that after Karen bites her and infuses her, she becomes more energetic and much happier. And even though she still can't hold down a job easily, at least she's happy and she's able to deal with things more easily. At one point, she may have been at the brink of suicide, but afterwards she was able to come back from the edge and still try to provide for Kenta. And that really can't have been easy, because she really does try really hard. Yasuko, on the other hand, is fully aware of the charm which she possesses, and she uses that in her job as a hostess. And she's had this job since before the story began, and she continues to hold it. So unlike Fumio, she's able to hold down her job. And I don't think Fumio would have ever been able to make the connection, and she's not of the personality type that would allow her, I think, to become a hostess. But Yasuko is perfectly okay with that. That's how she met Ryuji's father, and so she continues to do that in order to support Ryuji. And Ryuji is the one who does the housework, and this is the way in which he supports his mother. So they work together and make their family work that way. Now, in the case of the Usuis, Kenta had a job, and he endeavored to support Fumio that way. With Yasuko, she had a good job that she was able to do, but because of her working hours, she wasn't able to be around Ryuji as much as she would have liked. But they both understood that, and they both worked together in order to make a functional family unit, at least as much as they could, given their circumstances. And within those circumstances, they were not as financially secure as they would have liked, but still, they made it work, and they made it work together. Before I move on, I'd like to shine a light on 3 different mothers of Marvel. 2 of them are a little bit more recent, the other has been for a while. So we have Julia Carpenter, who was a mother even when she was running around as Arachne, and then she became the second Madam Web. And she would definitely put her daughter first, even to the extent of going into a trap knowingly. Then there is Jessica Drew, recent mother, and she became pregnant around the same time she changed her costume, and she works together with her friends in order to raise her new baby. So it's that kind of adaptation, even though she hasn't had the best upbringing herself. Her parents were agents of Hydra, and so she was experimented upon and used as a weapon originally before she got picked up by S.H.I.E.L.D. and became an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and also a hero. But it was because of the experiments that they were doing on her that she gained the powers that allowed her to become Spider-Woman. Then the third mother of Marvel, whom I would like to highlight, is Susan Storm Richards, the mother as well as big sister of Marvel's first family. And Sue has a very challenging situation, and she always has had this challenge. Not only does she have to deal with Johnny, the little impulsive brother who she's had around, but also Reed and his eccentricities. And she's always, or almost always, been able to work around that. And even sometimes she's had to deal with the temptations that Namor puts towards her, because he does like her a lot. But then there's the challenge of her children. Her son, Franklin, is an extremely powerful reality warper. With his powers unlocked, he can make whatever he wants happen, and he has in the past created a pocket dimension for all the heroes to survive a cataclysmic white event that would have otherwise killed them. And Franklin is a challenge because he has that power, but also because he needs to learn how to use and control it. Then there's Valeria. And Valeria is really too smart for her own good, too smart for anyone else's good. And at a certain point, she decided that it would be better for everyone involved if she was with Victor Von Doom instead of with the Richards, which Sue took very badly, but after a certain point she also understood what Valeria was trying to do. But when Sue believes that something is going wrong and that her children are being harmed, watch out, because she is the most powerful member of the Fantastic Four. It's not just her ability to push things away with force field or her ability to go invisible. It's what she can do with the force fields. She would be able to put it into somebody's brain and cause them to black out that way, or even around their heads, so that they would become asphyxiated. So that if she went bad, it would be a very hazardous thing for those around her. So this is definitely one mama bear you don't want to mess with. The last mother in fiction whom I would like to highlight is May Parker. Yes, she is not actually Peter Parker's mother, but she has functioned as such for such a long time, and you really can't take the credit away from her. Yes, it was Uncle Ben's quote that helped to create Spider-Man, but it was May's support that helped him continue to be Spider-Man throughout all those years. And in One More Day, we got to see how devastating it would be if May was to be dying, or if she was on her way to dying for Peter, that he just could not accept that. Even when Mary Jane was safe and everyone else he cared about was safe, he was entirely focused on saving his Aunt May. And it didn't matter to him who he needed to go to. He would even go to Doom to try to save her. And he would do almost anything. But the thing is that May and Ben instilled in Peter this sense of morals that was so strong and so basic that in the end it gave him an indomitable will to continue and to do what's right. With great power there must come great responsibility. And doing the right thing was something that was so basic to him that he was very rarely corrupted by any choice or chance, regardless of what power he might have been offered, and that was something that was also reflected when he had the Unipower. The Unipower is a kind of cosmic force, and it enabled him to do basically anything. But it also has a habit of leaving its wielder when they do something irresponsible. And Unipower was not used to being wielded by Peter, who had such a strong sense of morals, again because of May and Ben Parker. And it was only after he made an adapted costume for MJ that those powers left him. But in an alternate universe that we get to see in Spider-Verse, there's a version of him that still has the Unipower because he has kept that responsibility. And so it wasn't Peter that made the deal with Mephisto to save Aunt May's life, but it was MJ because she understood and she knew what May meant to both of them. And so she was willing to make the deal with Mephisto even though Peter himself was not. And it's because of those morals that came from May and Ben Parker that this came to pass. And I will acknowledge again that while May is not Peter's birth mother, she has essentially raised him after Ben's death to continue to be a responsible citizen, to continue to do what was right, even though what was right was often what was hardest. And she was the one who was with him the most, supporting him the most. And therefore, I do count her as Peter Benjamin Parker's mother in the ways that count. So to all the mothers in the ways that mothers count in the world, Happy Mother's Day. I hope you enjoyed this video. And also the rest of the internet as well. I hope you enjoyed. Please show your support by liking, subscribing, comment below what you may think, if you have any suggestions for future videos, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!